Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to 721. Welcome to our home. Welcome to the House of Labor. How's everybody doing today? My name is David Green, and I'm proud to be the President and Executive Director of SEIU Local 721. And I want to first thank you all for being our allies in the fight against poverty, against economic inequality, and our allies in the fight against injustice. Thank you so much for that, for being our allies in the fight. I also want to recognize all the great work that's been done up to this point in making sure that we have our special guest here, Governor Gavin Newsom. Majority Assembly Leader Isaac Bryan. The author of 1228, Chris Holden. And I want to take a minute to introduce my SEIU family as well. I'm going to start with our International President, Mary Kay Henry, who's here today. International Vice President Joseph Bryan, who's here today. And immense gratitude to our SEIU Local 721 staff, our state council. This event would not have happened without their hard work today. Thank you so much. And, you know, I want to take a moment also to give a very special shout out to my sister, President of 1021. Is she up here? Teresa Rutherford. Teresa has been in this fight with us since day one. And look, we didn't get here, it wasn't an easy road here. The road to this fast food legislation started, this is a fun fact for today, in this basement right here in 721. More than 10 years ago. And I know this because I have an 11-year-old daughter at home who's in 6th grade, Sophia, and I remember her being a baby and being on the picket lines with me and our workers in front of McDonald's and Burger King and Jack in the Box. Like a lot of your kids, our kids grew up on the picket lines fighting for this legislation and fighting for a voice for fast food workers. Let's hear it. But most importantly, I want to recognize the determination, and let's face it, the courage of our fast food workers that are up here with me today. What an amazing amount of courage it takes to speak up against discrimination, against harassment. Their voices, we're here to lift their voices today and give them a voice about social justice. And I just want to thank the fast food workers for inspiring me every damn day. Our fast food workers proved to California, actually they proved to the world, that when you speak up on issues around income inequality, you win. When you speak up on issues around racial justice, you win. And when you organize, what happens? You win. You do. So it's my great privilege and honor to introduce someone that's not just the president of SEIU California, not just the president of USWW, but my close friend and brother. Let's hear it for David Huerta, everybody.
Thank you, David. I'm going to start in Spanish and then I'll go to English. Quiero decir gracias a todos por venir hoy día. Hoy día es un día histórico. Es un día histórico, right? Este día se muestra toda la lucha de más de 10 años de lucha, su coraje, su movimiento, su ser fuerte en este momento para todos. Porque esta lucha, este momento, no es solo una victoria para trabajadores de rapidez, pero trabajadores en general. Porque hoy día muestra cuando el trabajador está unido, cuando estamos unidos, trabajadores, todos juntos, nosotros podemos mover montañas. Y sí se puede, ¿no? So yo quiero reconocer todos los trabajadores que están aquí, los trabajadores de home care workers, los trabajadores de limpieza, los servidores públicos, los trabajadores de health care, los de educación, todos somos un solo movimiento. Y hoy día es el resultado de ese movimiento. Y yo sé Es un gran orgullo estar aquí hoy día con ustedes, porque yo sé sus familias y sus comunidades son orgullosos de ustedes por lo que han hecho, right? Ustedes han mostrado que con la fuerza, con la unidad, con el movimiento, que ustedes pueden mover montañas, porque ustedes entraron en esta batalla luchando en contra de la pobreza, luchando en contra del racismo, explotación de los trabajadores, y ustedes mostraron a estas compañías que sí se puede, right? Y ustedes, ustedes dijeron a los billonarios, de los ricos, que nosotros sí podemos ganar, y ganaron algo histórico en este día. Y como dijo mi gran amigo Mike García, cuando luchamos, ganamos. Cuando luchamos, ganamos. Cuando luchamos, ganamos. All right, let's give it up. So it truly is an honor today to stand before you on such a historical day, right? It's an honor to stand with such courageous, tenacious, inspiring fast food workers who fought for this moment for years, right? On the streets, at work, and in the legislature. We're proud of you. This is a moment that you should be proud of yourselves. Your communities are proud of you. We are proud of you. All working people are proud of you, because we've just demonstrated when working people stand together, we can move mountains, right? Because you as leaders, you have created the most significant breakthrough the worker movement has seen in over a century, right? As your movement, our movement, right, is taking in some of the most important battles of our time. We were fighting poverty. We're fighting racism. We're fighting exploitation of worker people. Along the way, you faced retaliation, insults, resistance from multi-billion-dollar corporations. And you proved all of them wrong. You proved that as workers, we stand together, we will move mountains. And you showed the bosses and billionaires that you had the backbone and the will to beat their attempts to keep you down. And as my great friend, my dear friend, Mike Garcia said, when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. All right. And so you proved, so I want to take all of this time because it takes leadership to make this happen as well. And I also want to acknowledge the State Council staff as one of the most amazing teams in Sacramento. And I want to acknowledge the Executive Director of the State Council, Tia Orr, in her fight, the tenacious fight that she is. She has truly engaged in something that is just transformative. And I just really want to recognize her leadership and her staff's leadership in making this happen. And we're also here in the spirit of gratitude of leadership and the moral vision of California leaders. The governor, the assembly member, Chris Holden, and the legislative champions like our next speaker, who listened to working people with respect and took action to support our fight. Next up, I'd like to call up to the mic Assembly Majority Leader Isaac Bryan.
Fast food workers, how we feeling today? I can't hear you. How we feeling today? Today is a historic day. It's an important day. It's really important because California is a leader for this nation. California is on track to being the 4th largest economy in the world. California also has a lot of people who are struggling. Folks who are living in poverty, folks who dread the first of the month, folks who have to make trade-offs between paying certain bills and keeping a roof over their head. And at the same time that reality exists, we have record profits in some of our corporations. We have record investments in industry. We need those equal investments in our workers. That's what this is about. For all y'all who are not from Los Angeles, we've experienced a hot labor summer, haven't we? And that's because the people who keep our city running, the people who keep our restaurants running, the people who keep our hotels running, the people who keep our country running are calling for what's due. And what's due is dignity, respect, and fair wages. That's why this legislation is so critically important. Because for too long we've demonized fast food workers. We dehumanized fast food workers. We've acted like their labor isn't worthy of respect, isn't worthy of recognition, and damn sure isn't worthy of being paid justly. That changes today. It changes today for a few reasons. It changes today because of my brother, Assemblymember Chris Holden, who authored this bill. It changes because we've got a courageous governor who said early on, I will sign this bill. And most importantly, it changes because all of you demanded it. All of the workers demanded it. They called for it. They came, they fought for it, and they've earned it. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. And today we celebrate. But tomorrow we get back to the work because there are a lot of workers who still need their dignity, their respect, and their fair wages. And with that, I want to bring up somebody who's really, really important to this process. He's a former majority leader himself of the State Assembly. He's a mentor of mine. He hails from Pasadena. Assemblymember Chris Holden.
Well, good morning. Good morning. You know, I can tell you that in my 11 years in the legislature, there's not been one piece of legislation that I've had the privilege to author and to see signed into law that had more impact in terms of my feelings, my emotional, visceral feelings than this bill. Because I saw firsthand all of you who gave your blood, sweat, and tears, and quite frankly, you gave it before there was even a concept of a bill called 257 or 1228. You were in here organizing. You were recognizing the time that you were here and what you were up against, even at that time, recognizing the need 10 years ago for something to change in the workforce to create greater say at the table for all of you in the fast food working business. Let me just tell you, we're celebrating 1228, but there was once a time 257. And that bill was really history in and of itself. Because what it did was it created the first time for the conversation to happen, for the workers to come together, to be able to come to Sacramento, take time off of a job that they were already being harassed on, to come to Sacramento to let their voices be heard for change. And when we had this opportunity to engage and to be able to advocate for you, to see so many of you here today who were there through the process, knocking on members' doors, sleeping out in Capitol Park, waking up in the morning with bells and whistles to make sure that all of us were paying attention. It's a process. I say, to God be the glory. Because it took perseverance, pushing through, being able to sustain while you went through the process, to be able to let your voices be heard and to carry not just what was going to be set forth in what we have before us today in an impressive piece of legislation, if I must say so myself. But we have a governor who signed 257. We have a governor here to sign this bill today. It's not too often in history that you get to sign the same bill twice that does the same thing as the original. But the second one's better. But I also want to acknowledge that the fast food franchisees and franchisors, their willingness to come to the table, the willingness to sit down in the 11th hour and help be part of a solution. And at the end of the day, you want your government to work to where you are getting things done, solutions that work, that benefit the people, that benefit the workers. And today, we're here to stand in solidarity once again to say God bless you. God bless you for your commitment, for your understanding that you are making history. History is sometimes hard to get a hold of. When you're in the middle of making it, you don't know you're making it, and it don't feel good, and it's hard. It is very hard. But what you have done is set in motion something that's going to reverberate around the entire country. And I am so proud to be part of this impressive experiment and democracy. And legislating and fighting and hearing the needs of the people, those who are marginalized, whose voices are not always heard. Thank you. As the story of the labor movement continues to be written, this day, this moment, this bill will be remembered throughout history. And so it's my pleasure to introduce an amazing leader. You know, SEIU is an amazing labor organization. We thank you. We thank 721 for its organizing and getting the ball rolling. We thank you for the state leadership in SEIU. But we also want to recognize the national leadership. Mary Kay Henry is the president of SEIU, and she is an amazing leader. It is my honor to introduce her here to you today.
Thank you. Thank you to Assemblyman Holden and your incredible years of championing. I have to tell you, I remember getting a video when all the fast food workers saw you walking down the halls of the Capitol and went berserk, like you were Mr. Rockstar. Isn't that right? Yeah. So thank you so much for being such a clear-eyed champion and for thinking about the ways that we could win for working people at the same time that we can win for business in this state. And you managed to hold those two poles that in this moment is sometimes put in contrast when, in fact, when we all do better, we all do better, and you are a tribute to that. Thank you so much. And Assemblyman Holden actually told this story that I had to come today from Washington, D.C., because I needed to stand with the champions that are writing not just national history, I would say, but international history. We have global trade union partners around the world that were holding their breath to see if we could confront the industry that has refused to allow workers a seat at the table. And by God, today, the governor of California is setting that table for 500,000 workers. I just want to say that there are fast food movement leaders here from all across the state, and they stand on behalf of 500,000 fast food workers. And I want you to take a moment to let that sit in. I've been an organizer in my union for 40 years. Most of my organizing history was right here in California: Fresno, Inglewood, San Bernardino, Santa Clarita, up north. And Santa Monica, we can shout it out, yeah. And in my 40 years, I was proud when we organized 1,000 nurses or 75,000 home care workers here in LA, or tens of thousands of janitors who fought and won in Century City in 2000, or the state employees who joined us in the 90s to build a powerful SEIU, and all the county unions that are represented here today, and the LA Unified School Worker Unions. But in each of those efforts, we talk about changing tens of thousands of lives, and it has a ripple effect in our communities. But when we're able to change the lives of an entire industry and an entire state, 500,000 workers getting raises to $20 an hour in April of 2024. We transform not just that worker's life, but the lives of their children, their grandparents, their neighbors, because I think what this bill represents is one of the biggest manifestations of what Governor Gavin Newsom ran for when he was first elected in California, which is a California for all. Gavin Newsom's vision is being realized by this legislation. And I couldn't be prouder to join the workers here today, along with our legislative champions that made it happen. But the road here was not easy, especially in the COVID pandemic. It raged, and fast food employers failed to respect and protect the workers that kept their businesses running. And for the last decade, California fast food workers, along with workers across the country, have organized and marched and gone on strike to demand a voice on the job. In the last 2 years alone, they have waged 450 strikes across the state, making clear the need, making clear the need for fast food corporations to treat them with dignity. I am so proud of the Black and Latina women who led across race to win big for every community, white, Black, brown, and Asian in the state of California. This is a true David and Goliath story, and the Davids and Davidas won. Once again, California is showing us what true international leadership looks like. Governor Newsom and the legislators and those who were supported the fast food workers' fight made history today by establishing the first in the nation fast food council, where workers are finally going to have a say in their wages, hours, and working conditions. And the fight doesn't stop here. I'm going to introduce a fierce leader who led us to this moment, along with many others. And she told me as we met again this morning, you know, this is just the beginning, Mary Kay. This isn't the end. This is the beginning of our hopes and dreams. And she is a jack-in-the-box worker, born and bred and proud from Inglewood. She is the mother of 6, but she wanted me to say 7, so we include her baby dog. And she is with us today, even as her grandmother is waiting for a room at a hospital. And that's a reflection of her commitment to this movement, but it's also a reflection of her grandmother's support for the first advocate in her family's generation to stand up and to say no more. Anisha Williams represents the best of this movement of workers who've been told, as we've heard from the speaker, no, you're not worth it, get out of the way, or I don't even see you. Anisha rejects that and says, I'm stepping into my power and leading a transformational change for myself, my families, communities, the entire state of California, and 4 million fast food workers across the United States of America. Anisha.
I want to say thank you, God, first and foremost, because without him, we as fast food essential workers would not be able to move these mountains that we were able to move. And boy, these were some tough mountains. Let me tell you, we didn't talk to legislators, senators. Little old me, Anisha Williams, mother of 6, never thought that I can move mountains with the help with the help and the support of so many people. And there were so many people against us that told us no. They closed the door on us and told us no. They sent these people out here with this referendum and told us no. But guess what? We told them, yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
This is for my grandmother, my great-grandmother, Johnny Teagles, my grandmother, Bobby Pittman, and for my children. They've been on a picket line and they've been marching with me as well. This is for them. This is for my ancestors. This is for all the farm workers, all the cotton pickers. This is for them. We ride on their shoulders because they fought some rocky roads as well. They fought some rocky roads as well. But we are here today to make history. Let me say that again. We are here today to make history. For not only one, but millions of workers, millions of fast food essential workers. They tried to shred us up like a piece of paper. Shame on them. Shame on them. Shame on them. They tried it. But guess what? We told them no. I seen Gavin Newsom on a bike. On a bike. Okay? Making that announcement like, oh, I'm signing this bill. I'm behind them. Okay? Okay? And now we're here today. I'm not crying, they're crying. They're crying. You know why? Because we did this. My workers, we did this. This is our blood. This is our sweat, and this is our tears. This is our tears, all our fussing and fighting. This is our fight today, and we're here today. And guess what? Governor Newsom, come sign that bill.
For the record, that bike Anisha is referring to was a Harley Davidson. It's obvious. I brought the bill, but I also brought a few thoughts that I want to share. It feels like yesterday I got a call from Mary Kay. I had just been elected governor of California. She said, I have to come out and visit you. I said, we can talk on the phone. She said, I have to come out and visit you. There's something we need to talk about. And she seeded this moment. And she also educated me on how long she had been working to advance this cause and this moment. State after state. And she said, maybe, just maybe California. Maybe this state can move the bar a little higher. We can move this needle. Then COVID hit. And it sort of set back a little bit of our own expectations, the moment. But in that moment, we realized that it actually launched this effort forward because we saw all of you show up. Some of you that were fired, some of you that were rehired at lower wages. We saw the abuse, we saw the inequities in terms of the wages and the treatment, and we realized we had a responsibility to do more and step up. And as a consequence of that, we were able to put together the coalition. But Anisha, you made a point about your own advocacy, and it's absolutely true. But I look around this room and I'm reminded of that old African proverb that says, you want to move fast, move alone. But if you want to go far, you got to go together. And it took the coalition of all of you to make this happen, to create the conditions. And so I'm really proud. We love to say, and the majority leader made this point, and Mr. Chair, I call him, the Assemblymember Holden, made this point. The future happens here first, California. We're America's coming attraction. This is a state, in the spirit of what both Davids said, is a state that prides itself not only being on the leading cutting edge, but we recognize businesses cannot thrive in a world that's failing. And that's an important point, because we're not just about growth. This state's about inclusion. And that's the foundational principle we're advancing here today. And I can assure you, this wasn't easy. If the reporters are out there, please know this. This wasn't easy. There are 100+ hours in just the last few months negotiating this referendum off the ballot. That was a tectonic plate that had to be moved. It was a profoundly consequential prospect. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars would have been spent on that ballot to roll back the progress that the Assembly members had made and advanced last year in SEIU. But we were able, in good faith, to negotiate that off the ballot. Once this signature is affixed to the bill, and we will hold them to that account and advance this cause. And I'll just remind you this cause, and very briefly, 557,000 people. 557,000 people at 30,000 locations. This is a big deal. $20 an hour. 80% of the workforce. There's a lot of mythology about fast food. You know, Johnny used to learn the value of hard work. You know, he'd work a few hours in his first job. That's not the case, folks. That's a romanticized version of a world that doesn't exist. 80% of the workforce in these fast food places, 80% are people of color. Two-thirds are women. The majority are breadwinners. And we have the opportunity to reward that contribution, reward that sacrifice, and stabilize an industry in turn. What a remarkable moment. And so, Nisha, your kids are proud of you. You got me all tearing up over there. I'm glad no one was looking. And I'll just close on that, because I think, these are special moments. I just got to bed. I was at the Reagan Library last night. I can assure you, this is different as daylight and darkness. So I needed this morning. I needed this moment. And it reminds me, of the why. Why? What's it all about? And, David, you started out, man, racial justice, social justice, economic justice, making more gentle the life of this world. That's a beautiful thing. And so what a gift that I get to pull this out. And I get to ask all of you to get closer. The authors of this bill, Tia, come on closer.
We fight! We win! We fight! We win! We fight! We win!
You guys all ready?
We did it! We did it, we did it, we did it. Oh my God.
Hey, folks, we're going to do a quick question and answer right now about the bill. So, if folks, can just clear that podium.
Hey, if we can clear the podium area, we're going to do some question and
All right.
answer.
All right. I've got my press secretary right here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations. It's the best. Congrats. All right. We're here to answer any question. And by the way, if with your indulgence, I'll stay and answer any questions. Maybe just on this topic, since everybody's here, and then after we'll let folks go, and then you guys can have at me on a million other topics if you choose. But we've got all the superstars assembled here on this topic.
Hi, Governor. Ashley Zavala with KCRA out of Sacramento. There's a provision in this bill that exempts bakeries, essentially places that sell and bake bread on site, so carving out essentially Panera and Boudin. I wonder, why in the agreement did you all decide that those workers should not be within the umbrella of this?
I mean, that's part of the sausage making that was part of 257, the original bill, and we went back and forth, and there was part of the negotiation. It's the nature of negotiation. There's a lot of component parts in the industry. It's not just Jack in the Box, not just McDonald's. There are a lot of different players. This affects a lot of different franchisees and different models as it relates to that, and different conditions and environments. And so that was all part of the give and take. And that was the collective wisdom of the legislature and ultimately led to my signature last year. In relationship to the work we just did, there were a lot of other adjustments and give and takes in terms of how many franchisees, or rather how many franchises you'd have before you're exempted and the like, and just the nature of negotiation, trying to get a referendum off the ballot. As I said, it's not easy, but we all came together and with purpose and intensity, and that's where we landed.
Speaking of the referendum, in that process, the fast food giants were warning, in part, that prices would go up for these food. So can Californians expect the prices of their McDonald's and Starbucks to go up?
I'm with Mary Kay Henry. She's next level. The fight for 15, thank you, Mary Kay Henry. Thank you, SCIU. That feels like the black and white movie days. That was 2015, I think, when you got that done. But that was a hell of an accomplishment. And they said the exact same thing. And it didn't happen. So I've heard that rhetoric before. And with respect, the most significant thing, and I know a thing or two about running a business, as you know, I have hundreds and hundreds of employees. What you want is stability. You want a workforce that's productive, that's engaged. And the instability in this field is legendary. And when you're hiring someone, oftentimes you're hiring $2, $3 more an hour, and those inequities are pretty painful. If you've been working 4 or 5 years and someone just comes in and getting paid $2, $3, $4 more an hour. And that leads to workplace issues, and that leads to a little bit of, people not just feeling so good about themselves. So I think this is ultimately going to be extraordinarily beneficial to these franchisors and franchisees, to the economy of the state of California, and certainly to the people working hard every single day that now will be able to come back home and provide more for their families at the same time.
That was it for the on-topic questions from back here.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
There's not one other on-topic question? Well, with that, Mary Kay Henry, my hero, thank you for making this happen. And thank you, Tia and David and Mr. Chair and Majority Leader, to all of you. A hell of a job done. Well done, SEIU.